Tonight, a savage hate crime attack on a train. 2 men targeted and bashed. Breaking news on the US helicopter tragedy. An injured Marine rushed to Melbourne. Soccer's notorious bucket thug sentenced to jail over a shock pitch invasion. Federal politicians score a big pay rise as voters battle the cost of living crisis. CSIRO's weight loss wonder diet joins the ready-made meal revolution. And a Bulldog star in demand and in limbo as fans scramble for tickets in a finals crunch.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. 2 men are recovering after they were bashed on a packed train in what they describe as a homophobic hate crime. The pair ended up in hospital after they were targeted by 6 thugs on the Frankston line, but no one stepped in to help.
Back at work after a savage attack that has changed Michael Robley's life forever. Last Saturday, the 43-year-old and his partner Lee left the MCG and got a train home from Richmond. They'd been on the train for just 5 minutes when 6 youths surrounded them.
They were calling us faggot, telling us to, oh, go on then, you faggots kiss.
Then it got physical.
They were sort of beating into Lee.
Train was packed, no one stepped in to stop it. Mr. Robley managed to call for help.
Sort of pushed past them and pressed the emergency button.
The train then stopped at Caulfield Station. There, the pair was met by police and paramedics before being taken to hospital.
I've had surgery to remove glass out of my facial muscles and spent 3 days in hospital.
The attackers still haven't been caught.
And Sarah Jones has the latest on the attack. Sarah, police are now investigating.
Mitch, no arrests have been made, but there is plenty of evidence. 7 News understands there is CCTV of the alleged attackers getting off the train. Mitch.
Sarah Jones at police headquarters, thank you. There's breaking news tonight on the US Marine tragedy, with one of the injured soldiers flown to Melbourne for specialist treatment. Rochelle Brown is at the Alfred Hospital, and Rochelle, he's just arrived after a marathon mercy mission.
Mitch, the care flight touched down at Essendon Airport just after 3 o'clock this afternoon with a patient injured in that Osprey crush on board. Mitch?
Rochelle Brown at the Alfred Hospital, thank you. The Andrews government is facing new accusations of secrecy over its Commonwealth Games fiasco, with regional councils claiming they were forced to sign gag agreements. They've told a Senate inquiry they were kept in the dark and ignored. A violent soccer hooligan has been jailed for his part in an ugly Amy Park pitch invasion. The 23-year-old threw a metal bucket at the Melbourne City goalkeeper, causing permanent injuries. A fruit and vegetable shop in Melbourne's north has been torched in the latest firebomb attack across the city. A car with an LPG tank in the back reversed into the Hadfield store shortly before it burst into flames this morning. Victoria's debt levels are set to soar even higher than predicted by the Andrews government. A top global credit agency is estimating it will hit $226 billion, $60 billion more than forecast in the state budget just months ago. 2 children were among 3 people trapped in their car after a crash during the morning peak in Melbourne's west. They collided with a truck just after 7:30 on Greggs Road in Strathtulla. The woman driving the car and the 2 children were all taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Australia's politicians have just scored their biggest pay rise in a decade. The wage hike is decided by an independent review, but the timing couldn't be worse as families battle a cost of living crunch. A powerful earthquake has rocked parts of Indonesia, including Bali. The magnitude 7 quake was so deep it didn't cause significant damage, but it was felt 300 kilometres away. It was followed by 2 significant aftershocks. There are calls for New Zealand to join Australia as our seventh state. Former Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce is one of the backers, saying it makes sense to unite our military and economic powers, but the Kiwis aren't so sure.
Side by side in geography and history, Anzac, brothers in arms, now calls to get even closer.
Will we ever become one country? New Zealanders shouldn't rule that out.
Retiring New Zealand MP Jamie Strange.
There would certainly be economic benefits, economies of scale in the private and public sector, opening Aldi stores on our shores.
Today backed by Barnaby Joyce, who 5 years ago found out he was a Kiwi.
Why we've got two defence forces, two different monetary policies. They should be the single policy. We might even win a rugby game. That would be great. We might win one rugby game.
Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Stressful indeed. Tim Watson's here with a look ahead to sport. And Tim, there's huge interest in the future of a midfield star.
There is. Mitch Bailey-Smith is a man in demand and checked in at Whitten Oval for his exit meeting. We'll hear from the Dogs camp shortly. Also, we'll speak to the Tigers champion who's jumped on the Suns bandwagon. The Obamas with front row seats as Novak Djokovic ends his US Open exile. And Mitch, we go one-on-one with the man tipped to win the AFL's Rising Star. I'll see you again soon.
OK, Tim, thanks very much. A Melbourne dad has just received news that could save his life after a long battle for help. We'll have the details next. And later, families left for months without cash in a parental leave storm. Centrelink under fire. Victorian patients could soon be slugged with even bigger GP bills as industry groups warn a tax grab is driving doctors out of the state. The RACGP has told the Victorian government its payroll tax will worsen the health crisis by killing off bulk billing. One of the country's biggest airlines thinks fares should drop by as much as 40% if Qantas and the federal government allow increased competition. Qatar has been blocked from adding more flights into Australia. A Melbourne father is heading to the US for potentially life-saving treatment after a backflip from the federal government. The $1 million lifeline from Canberra giving hope to all patients of the blood cancer myeloma.
Twice, the federal government knocked back Jeff Nison's plea for life-saving treatment in America. But today, his appeal to Chief Health Officer Paul Kelly succeeded. So now Canberra will pay for Jeff's revolutionary CAR T cell treatment in this Seattle hospital, costing more than $1 million.
My initial reaction was joy, and I burst into tears of being alive and free of disease in 3 years' time. And there is the potential for cure.
A boost for all myeloma patients like legendary sports broadcaster Sandy Roberts.
I think it gave all of us hope. It was just a fantastic lift.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
The fallout over an uninvited kiss at soccer's World Cup final has taken a bizarre turn. The mother of Spanish football president Luis Rubiales is now going on a hunger strike, locking herself inside a church, protesting against what she calls an inhumane, bloodthirsty witch hunt. Rubiales has been suspended by FIFA while an investigation into possible sexual assault charges is underway. In breaking news, incoming Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock has had her first public speech since accepting the role crashed by protesters in Canberra.
200,000 people need to lose their jobs in your hands. We reckon you should go first.
They were calling for taxes on the rich to fix the housing crisis and for an increase to job seeker payments. Innocent families are living in fear in the suburbs and pleading for help to stop the violence on their doorsteps. Also coming up on 7 News, an emergency rescue turns to tragedy. A shock discovery for brain surgeons, how a living worm triggered a woman's 16-month medical ordeal. And how an airline meltdown is causing chaos across the world. Families in Melbourne's west are pleading for extra police patrols to deal with violent crime. Their calls have been sparked by a terrifying gang attack that saw a man bashed and stabbed in front of children. A medical rescue helicopter has crashed into an apartment building in the US with tragic consequences. It was taking part in an emergency operation when the tail caught fire.
Flying to a traffic accident, they were racing to save lives one moment, the next fighting to save their own.
A fire broke out on board. They did their very best, from my understanding now, to try to extinguish that fire.
Barely 200 metres above ground,
We're having mechanical issues. We're headed back to our station.
the Florida rescue helicopter breaks up mid-air, enters a chilling spiral and slams into a single-storey apartment block. In the United States, Tim Lester, 7 News.
A computer glitch grounded 500 flights across the UK and sparked travel chaos around the world. Its systems crashed for hours, leaving travellers in limbo. The ripple effect to flights is expected to be felt for days. Australian surgeons have made a world-first discovery inside the brain of a 64-year-old woman. She'd been suffering months of unexplained illness when they found an 8-centimetre-long worm.
This is the picture causing a medical stir and grossing people out around the world. An 8-centimetre-long roundworm pulled from a 64-year-old woman's brain.
Obviously, this is a very gross story, quite revolting and not very nice. So you have to feel sorry for the poor patient in whose brain this was found.
The carrier from rural New South Wales came to doctors in 2021 with pneumonia symptoms. In 2022, brain scans were taken when she started suffering depression and forgetfulness. Highlighted here, abnormalities doctors thought was a tumour.
I pulled it out and I thought, gosh, what is that? It's moving, take it out of my hands.
They popped it in a pot.
It was happily moving, quite vigorously.
And called their science friends.
It was one of those things that was mind-blowing.
Their investigation revealed the worm grew inside the woman for months, and she'd picked up the parasite from python poo, which had contaminated a bunch of warrigal greens she'd foraged and eaten.
It's a really unusual story, and it's obviously the first that we know of.
As we, as a burgeoning human population, continue to encroach on natural animal habitats, we will see more of these types of infections.
They say, thankfully, this one's not contagious and the carrier on the mend no longer has parasites on her mind. Tom Hartley, 7 News.
3AW broadcaster Neil Mitchell has surged up 3% in Melbourne's latest radio ratings, despite speculation he's considering stepping down. Every 3AW program increased, except Afternoons, which came in fourth and is yet to announce a replacement for Dee Dunleavy. In the FM breakfast battle, Fox FM's Fifi, Fev and Nick have overtaken Gold FM's Christian O'Connell. Centrelink is in the firing line over a parental leave storm, leaving families without cash for months. The details are next on 7 News. Melbourne mothers are in financial limbo, with some waiting 3 months for parental leave payments. They're calling for a system overhaul as Services Australia concedes Centrelink is struggling to keep up with surging demand.
Katie McMahon is savouring every precious moment with her newborn daughter Darcy, but it's been a rocky start accessing parental leave payments for the first-time mum.
It's pressure that's not needed, and you don't want to have to be worrying about money trying to care for a brand new baby. You want to be able to enjoy that time.
Ms McMahon's joining a growing chorus of Melbourne mums left frustrated by lengthy delays.
Some are really lucky and get it really quickly. Others can take weeks, months. There's people in there apparently that are, 5 months in.
As of July 1, eligible parents can access just under $900 a week for up to 20 weeks, but they're told to apply up to 3 months in advance to receive the payment on time. Warrnambool mum Molly Lee has been waiting 3 months for the cash to hit her bank account, a financial burden only adding to the stress of raising a family.
I'll get a back pay for what I missed. But that's also being taxed at 15%.
When Molly went to visit her local Centrelink, she was told staffing shortages were to blame for the delays.
I just think the excuses probably just need to stop and something needs to be done.
Services Australia says it's experiencing a high volume of claims since the eligibility criteria expanded, and it's encouraging parents to claim online early where possible.
If it's simplified and the process and the procedure and the information you're giving new parents is correct, there may not be such a backlog.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 News.
Elton John has spent the night in hospital after falling and injuring himself at his French villa. The 76-year-old was treated for minor injuries at an orthopaedic hospital in Monaco. He's now recovering at home. Mother Nature makes a splash with an electric blue sea spectacular. Mother Nature is putting on a spectacular show in South Australia, turning Port Lincoln Beach electric blue. It's caused by a bioluminescent algae and is drawing large crowds to the town's foreshore. The fluorescent display occurs when the algae are disturbed by movement, such as a breaking wave or a splash, causing them to light up. Sport is next with Tim Watson. And Tim, a Demon star isn't in the clear just yet.
Mitch, not yet, no. He's crucial to Melbourne's premiership hopes too. We'll tell you his chances of facing the Magpies next. Also ahead, why Bailey Smith isn't the only dog facing a clouded future. We'll catch up with the Tigers champion following in Damien Hardwick's footsteps. 2 youngsters on the road to recovery. Hear from the Rising Star favourite next. And the Aussies' emotional return as Novak Djokovic gets presidential treatment at Flushing Meadows. Welcome back. Bailey Smith's future was a hot topic at Whitten Oval today. Bulldog teammates are confident he'll stay as rival clubs circle. Melbourne's match winner, Bailey Fritsch, is in a race against time for the blockbuster finals opener against the Pies. Mitch Cleary has the latest, and Mitch, the star forward, isn't out of the woods just yet.
Well, Tim Fritsch will be stuck in a moon boot in coming days, managing that troublesome left foot he tweaked against Sydney. While scans have cleared him of major damage, he's expected to train off legs until away from teammates until at least Monday, before ramping up his program, pushing for Thursday night. Nick Dacos increasing his finals bid with gym work for his knee, but still seen as unlikely for that D's clash in 9 days' time. Last year's rising star about to see a new teenager crowned.
Novak Djokovic's anti-vax exile from the US Open is over. He made light work of Frenchman Alexander Muller in the opening round in New York, much to the delight of the Obamas as he reclaimed the world #1 ranking.
To come in front of you guys is always a pleasure and an honour to play here in Artois.
3 of 7 Aussies won opening matches, including Ayla Tomljanovic in her first match after knee surgery, and Rinky Hijikata, who will break into the top 100 for the first time. Superstar golfer Cameron Smith will return home to defend his Australian PGA title at Royal Queensland. Smith has won twice on the LIV Tour this year and will also hunt a maiden Australian Open title in Sydney.
I feel like it's been right there for me a bunch of times and I haven't really taken advantage of it. Yeah, hopefully win convincingly would be nice.
The world number 11 still has 3 LIV tournaments left to finish the season, Mitch, and that ends a very busy day in sport.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Tim. The CSIRO is muscling in on the ready-made meal revolution with a new Wonder Diet. The details are next on 7 News. Also, Sonia Marinelli with the weather details. Sonia, showers, but they didn't amount to much.
Less than a millimetre in the end, Mitch, but we are expecting more showers tomorrow. The full forecast coming up soon.
Tonight, a pulse check on the Voice youth vote ahead of tomorrow's big referendum date reveal. The confronting reality of our rental mess, an inquiry hearing desperate stories about to go to Canberra. Plus, gas plant strikes that put a big dent in the supply of LNG and drive up prices. The latest from 7 News at 11:20.
The CSIRO's Wonder Diet is joining the ready-made meal revolution. Top scientists have helped put the meals together, designed to help shed weight and beat type 2 diabetes.
Fresh off the production line, convenient, ready to eat and scientifically proven to work wonders.
Could actually put type 2 diabetes into remission.
We've seen the results ourselves in our clinical trials.
Dietitian Penny Taylor is co-author of the CSIRO's best-selling low-carb diet, an evidence-based eating plan to help people with type 2 diabetes regain control of their weight and blood glucose.
So we had these requests like, can we see them in meals?
Now they can. The CSIRO's partnered with an Australian manufacturer to whip up the mad foodies.
We were given some extremely strict guidelines to follow.
A microwave-ready range, high in protein and healthy fats. At $10 each, there's even one for vegans.
They know that they don't have to cook and prepare meals in a busy lifestyle. They can just grab one of these off the shelf and be okay.
But on the shelf, there'll be competition. The ready-to-eat food industry is growing by the day.
In Australia, it's worth $800 million a year. For the last 5 years, it's been growing at about 3.5% per annum.
In the chilled space, this is the first scientific-based ready meal to hit Australia.
The food market at IKEA is the first to introduce the Mad Foodies packs, but it's hoped that by the end of the year, they'll be available across a range of independent supermarkets.
Making it easy for the population to achieve healthy eating.
Gertie Sperling, 7 News.
Now here's Sonia with the weather.
Thanks, Mitch. There's been showers around all day, but they've been hit and miss. Here in the city, we've only picked up 0.2 of a millimetre so far, but there's more coming tomorrow. So here's a breakdown of what we're tracking tonight. Our last cold front of the season is closing in, bringing more wet and gusty conditions tonight. And then tomorrow will also be hit with a cold wind change. Despite today's gloomy skies, we managed a top of 18 degrees. The temperature pushed along by gusty northerly winds. They hit 72 kilometres an hour at the airport this afternoon and are forecast to strengthen tonight over the northern suburbs. And also tonight there could be a slight risk of a storm. As for the showers, it looks dramatic on the radar today, but not much of this made it to the ground. We've had less than a millimetre for Metro Melbourne and just 2 around the Dandenongs. In fact, falls have been light right across the state. That's despite waves of showers moving in and another round of thunderstorms that fired up in East Gippsland. Areas near the Central Ranges copped the strongest of those northerly winds. Now we'll continue to get gusty winds and showers here in the city tonight with an overnight low of 13 degrees. Now the actual front itself reaches Western Victoria early tomorrow and then it tracks across the state bringing more showers and in behind it that cold southwesterly wind change. So Victoria showers continue tomorrow but start to ease from the west in the afternoon with a possible rumble of thunder near the Otways and again in the east. And expect Wednesday to turn colder as that southwesterly wind change whips across the state. It is a wet Wednesday across the suburbs with up to 10 millimetres in showers forecast. We start the day in the double digits but will stop warming in the mid-teens once that cold wind kicks in late morning. So a few showers around in the city tomorrow, an early top of 15 degrees. Looking ahead, and on Thursday, the last day of winter, we're expecting showers, a top of 16 and then a cloudy and 15 degrees for the first day of spring. But after that, plenty of sunshine and a weekend warm-up. We're up to 17 on Saturday, 21 on Sunday, 23 by Monday. So just a few cool days to get through. Tomorrow showers, a top of 15.
And that's the way it is this Tuesday, the 29th of August. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.
Stream 7 News anytime, live and on demand on 7plus and with 7news.com.au. You'll know the news now.